And action.
Okay. My next question would be, how did you hear about this film, and what was the audition process like?
Well, I heard it from a friend of mine that this young lady, Amy Jones, was going to direct this horror film, and that there was a part there for me as Mr. Contact, the next door neighbor. But I also knew that she didn't have the lead cast with her. So I did a little research on characters, and I decided to walk in as the killer, not as Mr. Contact, which would have been a suit and tie. And I walk in, she looks at me, and she said, "Would you consider doing the lead?" I said, "Duh." What do you mean, would I consider doing the lead? Yeah, absolutely. And that was it. She let me off, she gave me a script, which was nothing like the actual script of the movie, the shot movie. And I was able to work on it in a workshop. I worked on it maybe 2-3 weeks, 3 or 4 days of the week. Did a lot of research on it. I read Helter Skelter. I got a lot of little stuff out of that. I used animalizations in this character. I looked up mass killers and tried to find, there's a certain look that all of them have. I tried capturing that look at times. That was basically it, but she gave me full reign. She let me do whatever I wanted to do, which was great. She was thrilled to death to even have somebody that she didn't have to direct as much as just film.
Your line in the film, which at that time, horror films, the killer really never spoke, and you said in the original script there was no dialogue. So when you made your speech at the end, which is now a very famous line of the film, how did you come up with that line? Is that something you just were thinking?
Well, that particular scene, when I was approaching them in the living room, at that time I already killed, 3 or 4 people in my head. I was totally gone. My mind, when you go off, there's some place where one goes, and I was there. I wasn't in reality at all, and all I was my drill and these beautiful women and how much I loved them, and they were mine. I wanted to be mine. So after my kill, I owned them. And this is what I wanted. I wanted to own them. I wanted them to be mine. And I approached it that way. And as I was looking at them, and I knew I loved them, and I knew they were all so pretty. And the words just came out, and the director said, "Yeah, more, and I just kept going with it, And when we were shooting this, the whole crew was just like in awe of what was going on, because the intensity and just the vibe in the room was so intense that it was like you could hear a pin drop. It was just so. Anyway, it was a wonderful scene. I loved the scene, and it was all improv.
Right. So when you did this role, there's a lot of people, when they played killers in horror films, they didn't really think about, let me distance myself away from the other cast members to instill some actual fear in them so the scenes come across more realistic. How did you, I guess as a method actor, were you thinking that would be good for me to do, because when I'm in these scenes with these people, they're going to really be frightened of my character?
Well, it wasn't because I was a method actor I was doing that. I did that because I was in character. I came on the set in character. I didn't lose that ever. And I figure if I'm in the character and I have to stay into it, I want to be able to do what I do best, and that's creep around and look and know when my opportunity arises where I can just, I can strike them. But that was part of it. And being in the bushes and these actors seeing me there, and I was like spooky. They were fearful of me.
Right.
So I wanted that first time that they heard me speak, or they face to face with me, I wanted them to be frightened by that look. And I think that I accomplished that. And after I killed them, I owned them. and then I could do anything I wanted with them. I talked to them, I'd hug them, I would do anything. Not until that moment that I did that.
After this film came out, it was released. It had a lot of popularity at the time. It was released, especially for an independent production. Did you see your star rise? I mean, how was that experience like? And you feel that this led to your other acting roles?
Well, I never felt my star rise, or however you put it. But I thought that since I did all this great technique and work in it, that one would see it and understand what I was doing. But a lot of times in a movie like that, at that time, the people who were doing like A films weren't looking at horror films. You know, they didn't know who I was or what I was. And I've never really been an aggressive person to go out there and say, I got an agent, I want to do this, I want to do that. You know, I could have done that. But I didn't. And I did get some roles. Actually, Amy Jones. She wrote the script, Mystic Pizza. And Mystic Pizza, she was supposed to direct it, shoot it and direct it, and I was supposed to play the part of the pizzeria owner, which would have been that would have clicked. That would have probably went on from that. But instead, I think it was Warner Brothers or one of the big studios took control of it and wouldn't let Amy direct it and rewrote the whole script where they put a woman in that, and I lost that part. That was kind of a blow for me, because I thought that was my stepping stone. And I went on to do a few other things. You know, I worked with Zalman King, which I thought was an incredible experience. I worked with Paul Michael Glaser in Amazing Stories. I worked with there's quite a few people.
Tommy Lee Jones, Gotham.
Yeah, Gotham.
Jamie Lee Curtis in Love Letters.
Love Letters. Yeah, it's quite a few. You know more than I know.
Do you have a favorite person you worked with?
My favorite person I worked with, and it was only because I was lost, was a girl in Wild Orchid, the French lady.
Jacqueline Bisset?
Jacqueline Bisset. God, how could I forget her name? I was on set, and we're supposed to be doing the scene, and Zalman King says, action! And I just stood there, and I was looking at her in her eyes, and it was like I was swimming. And I couldn't hear anything. I was just like floating. Her eyes were so mesmerizing that she just took me in. And I wanted to stay there. I felt so warm there. And I could hear Zalman with that faraway voice, Villella! Villella! And he started screaming at me, you know. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I finally got my line down. Right. But she was amazing. And she told me something. There was, we're doing this one shoot, one shot actually, that we're coming off the airplane. And it was raining, so we couldn't shoot it. And so myself, I was in character, and I'm walking around, and I'm doing this, and I'm trying to stay in character and keep that energy going. And we were waiting for about 2 or 3 hours. She finally came up to me and says, Michael, let me give you a little advice. She says, you're spending all your energy. Sit down, relax, and have it go through your mind that way. Don't work it up, you know. Let it boil, and then let it come out.
Got it. So you're a stage actor too. You've done both film and stage production. Do you prefer one over the other?
You know, when you're in theater, you have the opportunity to work on character. You're not, where a lot of times in film, editing, retake. But in stage, you're up there, and you can die. Every time you're on stage, you can die. You lose a line, you do that, you die. And that is exciting. But it's a certain believability to take something from the beginning to the end instead of cut. You know, it's constant. Okay, again. You know, it's a much different thing. Being continued all the way through from the beginning of the play to the end of the play, which I love.
So if someone wanted to hire you for a film or a commercial or a personal appearance like this, how would they get in touch with you?
That's difficult. I don't always respond.